It's still Good Morning Anambra, and this time around we are promoting literacy and reading culture. There's this saying that when the beautiful thing about learning is that no one can take it away from you. And of course, in the studio this morning, we have two learned ladies that are going to help us talk about this. They're in the system and they know what it actually takes to learn. They are Professor Ngozi Choma Ude, is a former Dean, Faculty of Arts, Chukwuemeka Odumegu, Ojukwu University. Prof, welcome to the studio.
Hello, viewer. When last did you pick a book?
All right, we also have Dr. Victoria Ifana Cho. She is HOD, Adult Non-Formal Education, from Federal College of Education, Technical, Omonze. Doc, glad to have you in the studio.
Hello, dear. Prophet Isaiah or Hosea said that my people perish for lack of knowledge.
That's a beautiful one. You're welcome. Prof, how was your weekend?
So.
And Doc?
It's the week of love.
All right. That's beautiful. You're just reminding us.
Yes.
All right. Now, Prof, let me begin with you. When we talk about literacy and reading culture, I would like us to break it. Let's talk about what actually is reading culture and what is literacy before we bring out the difference between the two. Prof.
Reading encompasses a lot of things. Reading actually is the center of existence. Somebody may ask, why should we read in a chaotic world like ours, where there are no foods to be eaten, there are no roofs over our heads, we're not thinking of our well-being? Who is talking about reading? Of what essence is it to us? But you discover that reading actually holds everything together. You see, the brain is the center of the human intellect. And just like every other part of our body, it needs to be exercised too. When you exercise the brain, you energize the whole system. And the only way of exercising the brain is through reading.
All right. Now, Doc, you explain to us about literacy. What is literacy?
Literacy literally means ability to read, write, and compute simple mathematics or arithmetic. Going further, literacy involves competency. You cannot be competent. Competency cannot be achieved without knowing how to read and write.
And now, what's the difference? Or where do does the two join? Prof?
Reading is a microcosm.
What?
Reading is...
You need to calm down, Prof.
Reading is embedded in literacy.
Okay.
Because if you're not literate, you cannot read.
Okay.
Oh, that's a beautiful one.
Good. We're talking about promoting literacy and reading culture. At what age do you think a child or a kid or children should start reading?
Should start reading?
At what age? Because we know when you give birth to a child, you probably have to learn how to crawl, work, and how to speak, and of course the right words. At what age should a child start reading?
Reading maybe informally. A child starts reading from the environment. As the older brothers and sisters are reading from the school they have attended, the younger one might have not started school, but you see him or her reading everything. In our environment, we have little kids at about 2 years, year plus, who have started talking. You see him or her reading as the other elderly siblings are reading until he starts attending school.
All right. Sorry, I think we'll get back to the studio, but for now, let's take a very short break. We are going to the studio right now to take a look at what the government is doing in terms of initiating more intervention in promoting literacy and reading culture. Please, we'll be back. Let's watch.
In basic education in the state attended the event, including board members of Anambra State Universal Basic Education, ASUBE, Post-Primary School Service Commission, PPSSC, teachers and students, among others. According to Governor Obiano, who applauded the efforts of teachers in the state at grooming students, the condition for the workability of the 65 years retirement age for teachers' extension is mandatory attendance to classroom. Recall that the retirement age for teachers in the state was recently approved and extended from 60 years to 65 years by state government. The governor, who explained the various efforts of its administration in the sector, noted that reading is critical to child development, notwithstanding modern age gadget encroachment, saying that reading is important to teachers and students.
Very, very proud of our teachers. Very proud of our students. They've been making us proud all over. I'm particularly proud of the Honorable Commissioner of Basic Education for her tireless effort in getting most of our programs in education off the table.
The Commissioner for Basic Education, Professor Kate Omenoga, stressed that the project is vital because it takes a community to raise a child, saying that the governor's blueprint in education was to ensure that no child is left behind, as she said that among other initiatives, they will create community reading hubs.
To keep on promising all the time is that we must continue to widen the horizon of education, expand the frontiers of education, and we must make sure that, like you wish, Your Excellency, no child will be left behind.
Present at the event was the BOT chairman of the Reading Association of Nigeria, Professor Chukwuemeka Onokogo, among others. The ceremony featured reading exercise by students, presentation of laptops to Education Management System Information Officers, presentation of books to schools, as well as unveiling of plaques by the governor. From the Community Education Research.
All right, Anambra State government is at it again. You've seen what they've done this time around, promoting literacy and reading culture. Prof, quickly react to that, what the government has done before.
It's a wonderful development because a man is as big as the knowledge in him. And the knowledge in him is just as much as the books he has read. And a country is also as great as the learned people in it.
Now, Doc, what do you think what we just watched, the impact it will have on the students of Anambra State?
The impact will be very great because it is a part of training and retraining. Literacy has diverse levels. We have basic literacy, post-literacy, which means once you are literate, you passed basic literacy. Every other thing you are doing is post-literacy. And in this case, you are supposed, or government is trying their best in order to encourage people to read. Because once you are not education and the learning, once you stop learning, you will become disconnected from the environment. We are in a changing environment. We encourage people to read. And from time to time, the government is trying to retrain people, motivating them, giving them incentive and empowering them in order to encourage them to learn. And as much as we read, because there is another that said that if you want to get gold, you must dig deeply, that it is not gotten on the surface. So before you have a knowledge, you have to read vastly in order to get knowledge.
There's this normal saying that I don't know. They say the white man will always say, if you want to get a Nigerian man, put the stuff into the book. But Nigerians don't read. Now we know way back that education and the reading culture, you know, in the older generation was something they loved. It was something that was good. The older generation, they always talk about it. And you get to see libraries and, you know, situated at different towns and cities. It is not the case today because a lot of people have devoted more of their time to watching TVs, playing games, you know, going to the cinemas to watch movies and the likes. How did you get here, Prof? And what can we do to really promote the reading culture of yesteryears, bringing back the lost glory?
It will start from the home. Because just as she said, when a child watches the older siblings reading, the child will learn to read too. So if a child is thrown into an environment where people read, the child is bound to read too. We all grew up in an environment, we all grew up inside books. And that's why we turned out the way we did. So these days, I believe the first step is for every parent to learn to read.
All right, I think we'll still get back to knowing more things to do in order to encourage literacy and reading culture.
Okay.
You know, but before then, there's these statistics, you know, that says that show that over 250 million children worldwide do not have the basic literary skill. Then, and in Nigeria, the statistics are worrying, as over 4 in 10 children in government primary school cannot read, and worse, over up to 8 out of 10 are unable to read for comprehension. So my question now is, do you really believe these statistics? And if so, why is it so?
I believe it's just as he said, because of technological advancement that removes attention from reading to watching television, to watching cinema, and recently to the phone. So if we can introduce the reading culture as a divergent aspect of reading, let the child know that there is a difference between reading a book, a physical book, and reading or it on Facebook or Twitter or whatnot. Let the child be developed. It's a lot of work for the teacher, and it means channeling this through the curriculum. Let the child learn from the rubric. Montessori says the child should start reading as from 2 years. That's the age you say A for apple,
Yes.
B for ball.
Yes.
That's 2 years.
Yes.
Pray, pray.
Okay, now, Prof, you know, some people will, some people will argue that you read online these days. But you will agree with me that most people that with their phones or their gadgets are simply browsing. You know, do you believe that reading with iPad, iPhone should be encouraged at the expense of reading books, hard copy?
Well, reading is reading. If they can pay attention, if they can be, that is, they will be concentrated in reading a piece or a news or even a textbook. You can download a textbook in the phone and read it. But the issue is that, do they concentrate and read? We are teachers giving assignment to the students to write something. You will see that they will like to maneuver, copy and paste. This person will copy maybe from the back and paste in front. The other person will copy from the middle and paste to confuse you. If you are not careful to read through what they did, you will think that what they wrote contained different ideas. But going through, you see that it is only copy and paste, galvanized.
Okay, good. That's actually a very big issue. Let me come to you, Prof. Let's talk about the types of reading cultures and its implication on the economy of book publishing in Nigeria. And what are also the benefits of reading culture, and why should every student embrace it?
As I said before, reading opens what we call the brain pathways. See, reading modulates the human soul. Reading opens widens the scope of knowledge of every reader. You are exposed to characters, to nuances, to cultures, to events happening in all other places. This makes you a native of where you are and a native of the world. That is what reading does. And I believe the essence of reading is to make a human being human. Because that is what will make you interact with the other. Look, you pick a book, a well-written book, you are exposed to characters, both good and bad. Beneath every work of art is a lesson to be learned. Every book has a lesson. Every writer has something to say. It behoves the reader to learn that lesson. And in learning that lesson, you use it in your interrelationship with other people.
Okay, you actually said something about it has to begin with the home.
Yes.
The parents, every parent should start reading. What's the fate of some parents who are probably not learned? What's the fate of the children of those parents? How do they go
Throw
about
them
it?
into schools where they should see people read. Get them to homes of people who can read. I have people bringing their children to my house to come and see the wall of library there. You see, they will tell their child, you see, this woman has read all these books. Why don't you start reading? And it's funny. But then, if you feel you are incapacitated in one area, you don't just lie down there. You move. You move. Move your children to areas where they will be introduced to reading.
All right, Doc, let me come to you. I'd like to take us back a little. When we talk about promoting literacy and reading culture, it shows that something has really, or there's a shift somewhere, that we're bringing it up and how to promote it. Now, do you really think that our parents or our grandparents of yesteryears, that the way they read or the way they handled education is not the same way? And do you think it has really had a negative effect on our society? Please, Doc.
Our forefathers, the way they handle
education and literacy and reading culture, and today's generation.
Our forefathers were more serious than us, because today we are so materialistic. Like we say, parents should help the children. Where are those parents? In the morning, the mother left, the father leaving children at the mercy of the maids. You don't know where they are until you come back at night. It is our important role as parents to help and guide these children. Like we said, charity begins at home. It is the foundation given at home that the children will follow. We should make it a point of duty, buying poems.
And you really think it has really affected the generation negatively?
Yes, it has. It has. Because it is what the children saw their parents are doing. Where are the parents? We are too busy to guide our children.
Okay, let's talk about a whole lot of people who probably wants to read, but it's difficult for them to pick this book. Now, I will tell you the truth. I've gone to some bookshop to buy some books, and you actually get to see the prices of some books, 3,000, depending on, the prices. And most people want to read this book. Most people are eager to, but they cannot afford it. Now, my question is, what do you think the government should do or put in place to enable libraries at different locations and cities that could probably endear people who wants to
as
read?
It used to be?
Yes, formerly yes.
We just watched a program where the governor was donating books to schools. It's just a matter of equipping the library. Coming up with the newest publications, encouraging publishers, encouraging authors, then encouraging readers, because it is important for the betterment of the society. Reading is a strong aspect of the human person, a strong aspect of the development of the human person, physically, mentally, and all otherwise. But I don't know. You even see children in the university system who are not willing to read. And I always ask my students, why are you here? I said, to read. What do they call a student in Igbo? Or say, nwata akwụkwọ. Then nwata akwụkwọ na-enwere akwụkwọ. Kedu ife ọ nọ ebe eme? Nwata akwụkwọ ga-ego akwụkwọ, ga-agụ akwụkwọ.
Having watched what our governor did, you know, and maybe some good-spirited individuals may follow suit, just like what Ebere suggested, what to be done, you know, to encourage this literacy and reading culture. What impact do you think this will have in the next 5-10 years in the society? Can we get what we used to have, Doctor?
If things go how it is going now, in the future it will be catastrophic. We will, in short, we will be living with ignorance. People will no longer know what is happening in the world. But like our governor is supporting, we encourage that people should be empowered. Like you said, Prof said, encouraging the publishers. Encouraging them in aspect of empowering them, sponsoring them to publish, then encouraging the readers in a way of motivating them, maybe setting out prizes for those who can read and they do this and do that. Empowerment is the bedrock. Like the girls, Regina Pachi, who went to United States and came back in a flying color, they were empowered. They were motivated. So I think that if such is given to people, that is a prize is brought out, set out for people. If you can read and this in this aspect, in different aspects, I think people should read.
All right, and Prof, as a way of rounding up, what's the difference between reading and cramming? Because yes, you said something about being in the university. Most of them don't even want to read and stuff. And we also understand that this thing in our Nigerian universities today is, see, go and pass your exam. Anyhow you want to pass it, make sure you pass your exams. And
it is a very bad trend.
Yeah, so that's what I'm asking. What's the difference between reading and cramming? Because we have to promote literacy and, of course, reading culture.
Reading is an innate, intrinsic feature. It comes from within. It's an engagement of the intellect in trying to imbibe knowledge. But cramming is a situation where the intellect is focused on a particular aspect of learning, trying to get it by force into the consciousness and then spewing it out just as you crammed it. But reading flows. It gets into the subconscious and sticks there. It widens your scope of both reading, writing, and language use, such that unconsciously what you have learned through reading comes up.
All right. I think at this point we've really come a long way, and we must say very big thanks to you watching. So you've learned one or two things. Let's all go out there, pick a book, encourage reading and literacy. And I tell you, our world will indeed be a better place for it. Thank you so much, Professor Ngozi Chuma Ude, for coming on the show.
You're welcome. Thanks, viewer.
Well, so thank you so much, Dr.
Remember?
Pick a book. All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Victoria Ifanacho, for coming on the show.
Thank you. And Ethiopian Enoch says, how can I understand without being taught?
Well, what more can I say? A reader lives 1,000 lives again than someone who don't read at all. So pick a book, just like Prof says.
All right, we'd like to thank you so much for watching. And remember, you have till the end of today to pick your PVC. Go out there and do just that. Thanks for watching.